Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to a brief conversation from A Voice for Men. I'm Paul Elam, and a moment has arrived here. A few days ago, I was talking with a fellow MRA. He wanted an idea to help us raise some money, and came up with the idea that maybe he'd just get some ink put on his arm in the form of a tattoo representing the men's movement, and asked donors if they would get us up to the $10,000 mark in exchange for his being willing to stick his arm out there for that pain and for the artwork. And it happened like that. You guys came through. We're got to the $10,000 mark 24 hours early. Thanks to your help and to Danny's helping us. But anyway, let me go ahead and introduce the guy right now. Welcome to Professor Dan Perrins, FTSU.
How you doing there, folks?
So how you feeling, Dan?
Damn good. Proud, happy. Wonderful experience. We raised some money for A Voice for Men's particular brand of fuck their shit up, FTSU.
Seems to be working out pretty well, that particular brand these days. We've come a long way in the past few years, buddy.
Experience. Like at one time, pardon?
Sorry, I think we had a little delay there, but go ahead.
It has been a long time. I remember in shorter time, much shorter time for me than a lot of people who have blazed a trail before me. But in the last 4 years since I kind of came on the scene, exponential growth and huge support out there.
And so anyway, let's cut to the chase about this tattoo. You pledged to do it if we raised to the $10,000 mark. You went and did it. You were in the chair for what, 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours, yeah. It's a fairly large tattoo. So it took some skill. The tattoo artist was incredible. Great care and personal service and an expert all around. And it took some time. 2.5 hours.
And how long was it? I remember I called you when it became apparent that we were going to hit the mark, and I could almost hear you grinning on the other side of the phone. And how long was it? Because it was like from the time we reached it, it didn't take you, what, 6 or 8 hours? And you were in the parlor getting it done.
Pretty much, yeah. It's tattoo parlor Thursday afternoon. There's a lot of openings there.
Well, I tell you what. Why don't we quit teasing people and leading them on, and let's bear some of this skin, man, and show these people what you got.
You want to do it now?
And you'll have to talk while you're telling them about the tattoo, so the camera doesn't switch back to me, because I want them to see. And of course, I get to see it.
You want me to show them now, or do you want to, force them to wait until the end of the show?
Hey, it's your tattoo and your call, man.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go get it over with. Okay, there, folks. Here is the tattoo.
Can you move to your right just a little?
There. Is that better? Can everybody see it? We got a good shot of it?
Perfect.
So, at the top there we have Speak Truth to Power in Latin. And then the red A Voice for Men insignia, and then at the bottom, FTSU. So, speak truth to power and fuck their shit up.
Yeah, and let's. I think your vocals or your sound was a little low there for just a moment. They may not have caught it. What Danny had tattooed to the top of the design there was "Speak Truth to Power," written in Latin. And then there is the infamous Scarlet M, the brand that we are for being who we are. Want to give a shout out to Dana, our Facebook page admin, who he and his crew of badasses churn out 3, 4, 5 memes a day sometime, have taken us up over 15,000 Facebook fans, and doing an incredible job. And he did that design some time ago. As a matter of fact, that design's iconic because a lot of the designers in the meme team use that Scarlet M as their brand on each one of the memes that they do. And then underneath that, of course, is FTSU in very big, bold block letters, which I'm sure that for the rest of your life, Danny, now people are going to be saying, what does FTSU mean?
Absolutely. I hope they question it. I want them to ask questions about the tattoo. People are curious by nature, and this opens up the door for conversation. So it will be a lifelong opportunity to open people up to new ideas, new ways of viewing things, and like calling bullshit out, aka feminism.
Yep. And that's, again, we'll explain it for the slow learners out there, which I know there will be some feminists visiting this video. I expect certainly a certain woolly mammoth kind of guy out there to be writing about this. He'll write something 4 paragraphs long and a 1/4 inch deep per usual. And probably poke some fun at this so that his little enjoy themselves for a moment. But FTSU popped up from John Hembling, and to even give more background on this, Danny said, and you could still watch the video from a few days ago, the hangout with Danny, where it's titled on my channel. It's titled "The Beard of Compassion Makes a Challenge," and Danny and I talked about his coming on to AVFM and why that happened. And the first words out of his mouth about that was that he saw a place that was speaking truth to power and was doing so without apology, not giving a damn who liked it, who didn't like it. And I think, is it fair to say you sort of instinctively knew that's how this message was going to have to be delivered?
Well, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I can expand upon that just by the shirt that I'm wearing today. When I went into the Barton Street Bellagio, the local jail here, after being and calling a crisis line, well, after being told by the police, "You suck it up, we don't intend to enforce the law," and numerous organizations that are supposed to help domestic violence victims, domestic abuse victims, the same thing, and the courts, worthless Hugh Brown, he's supposed to be called Worship Hugh Brown, after an email from the ex admitting she had irrevocably, possibly irrevocably, unless the courts would step in and charge her with her crimes, ruin my future. Worthless Hugh Brown, after seeing the email from her and the evidence, said no crime here, despite what the law says. So he failed to uphold his oath. After all that, I called a crisis line and said a few foolish things, and off I went into jail. At my wit's end completely. And this was after a 1.5 year long battle just to have myself treated as equal under the law. So I knew going in there that I could not fight Caesar in Caesar's court. So I took it outside of the courts, and things needed to change. So I did the 14-day hunger strike in the course of that battle. And I have to say that made them really, really nervous and shit their pants. It really fucked their shit up. And it's also a belief of mine and a core tenet of Voice for Men in a non-violent way, man. A hunger strike. This is, altruistic, and there is no, malice outside. It is, a simple silent statement although I was woke. And during the course of that, if you read the write-up on that, you'll notice that at one point in time, another justice, he said that he didn't give a damn about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So what the Charter of Rights and Freedoms said, again, and so it's like, whoa, this is really interesting. So yeah, fuck their shit up means to take it outside of their realm, out of their power, and do it in a nonviolent way and speak truth to power.
That had occurred to me as I was looking at the tattoo. And by the way, I love the way it looks. I think it looks kick-ass. It looks really good. What I was thinking was you've got speak truth to power on the top. You have the Scarlet M, and you've got FTSU on the bottom. And I'm thinking that those things are actually reversible. That speaking truth to power is FTSU, and FTSU is speaking truth to power. They're really saying the same thing on the bottom and the top of that tattoo. I felt the same way after doing some studies. Before I started doing activism online, and I was studying what had gone on in the history of the men's movement, and what I noticed was that there was all these great minds out there, these really incredible people, and they were getting absolutely nowhere. I mean, there would be little court victory here and there on something, but nothing to speak of. The public was not paying attention. And I figured at that point that the only way that you're going to get the public to pay attention is to maybe rattle their page a little bit. So we developed, with help of some really good people, we developed A Voice for Men. I started writing on it, and then I started inviting other writers and other people to come in and get involved, and the next thing you know, there's dozens of people all over the world, and many of them are standing up. And we got Danny here that has done all kinds of things, anything within his power, when he's not helping homeless people and when he's not doing other things directly. He's helping places like Cafe and AVFM raise money so that we can keep doing this stuff, because it's so important. So FTSU, for people that want to know, I'm sorry about these screen cameras switching back and forth. I blame it all on Google. Google sucks, almost as bad as Bill Gates. We have. If you turn your mic down a little bit, Danny, that may stop happening, because it's triggered by sound. At any rate, Dan Perrins has been willing to step up many, many times over again and do what it takes to get this job done. And I'm really hoping that this inspires others to do the same thing. I hope some other guys get some ink on. I hope some other guys step up and do what it takes. Dan is not a rich guy. He's not a guy with huge resources, but he somehow made it happen. And that's some raw determination. I remember I was commenting the other day on AVFM, responding to our good friend Andy Bob, who's one of the best we got around. And he was complimenting us on what we do with so little resources. And I really appreciate that kind word, because we do get by on a shoestring budget. But I tell you what, determination and the truth is some pretty damn good resources. And it's real important to do this work. I mean, Dan just told you part of his story. He went through a hunger strike, didn't eat for 14 days, and despite all the rhetoric about the stuff about MRAs being violent, what we see when we really look at it, if we've got the courage to look at them honestly, is we see a guy that would rather harm himself than harm another human being, and would, in order to make an example. And it's what we've always seen from MRAs, and more of them are starting to step up. But anyway, I didn't mean to steal the soapbox, Dan, and I think your microphone deal did stabilize the camera, so I think we're okay now.
My humblest apologies. I am technical. I'm blessed with technical skills in that I can really screw up the computer for things kind of pretty good.
Well, you know, if I was twice as good with technology as I am, I would call myself a tech tard. But I'm not good enough to even call that. I struggle with this stuff as much as anybody. But you're a guy that always, I mean, you're here. You always seem to get the job done, no matter what it takes. We're gonna get Danny a better camera, and we're gonna get him a lower third, and drag his ass back on here because I want to hear more of what this guy's got to say. So, how about can we talk for a minute? Because I'm going to make sure it happens one way or another. I'm going to go speak at Kennesaw State University. To my knowledge, this will be the first time that anybody's ever stood up at an American university and talked about the fraud of rape culture. I can't think of another time that it's happened. And I want Danny down there with us. And I know he wants to go, and it's important to him. Why is it important for you to get down there, Dan?
Well, as you said, it's well. First of all, it's Sage's gig, and it's a seed that needs to. He's planted a seed on KSUM campus there, KSU campus, and that needs to be nurtured. It needs to be we need to ensure that the rights aren't trampled on. They ain't bullied, because again, speaking truth to power. It's fucking their shit up, and when that's anti-bullying, speaking truth to power. Don't let feminists ever they yelp and 1,000 white knights come running, and that's power. They sometimes call it royalty. If you think about it, it's just social royalty. Anyways, so yeah, Sage has gone all out. He's and I'd like to point out that he's actually gone a little bit more out on the limb than a lot of us, because he's young. His career's ahead of him. So we need to make sure that he has strong support. The whole organization, the whole KSUM crew down there have strong support. I'm guessing men and women, the young men and women who are interested in true equal treatment of sexes, realize that our opponents can be fairly nasty, to say the least, both in voice and action. They run the gamut from nasty, redheaded.
Don't pick on the gingers. She isn't a real ginger, man. She's a fraud ginger. She took a bunch of strawberries or something and rubbed them in her hair, but she's not the real deal. We know that.
Red-haired beasties, nasty feminist red-haired beasties. They run the gamut from that to ideological-driven idiots like Darwin's rejects who wouldn't even, don't even want to listen, or create open discourse, to people who will call and have people fired, like as Karen has mentioned, and I'm sure you have received the same thing. They tried that one on me, but no, that one don't work. And probably others have experienced the same thing. For again, speaking truth, the feminism's power, the power of the narrative, and being able to sell fraudulent theories. And I'm going to stick by that statement: fraudulent theories. They are they promise one thing, but they actually don't deliver, and they create a profit for them, for feminism, and that profit is not necessarily always monetary, although it is. I.e. in the Domestic Violence Month, Awareness Month right now, October. Let's see in any domestic violence against men things put out there by feminists where the male is the victim. I do see a lot of men don't hit sort of deal, which is kind of understood because men in general are not violent by nature. There are asshole sociopaths of both sexes out there. It's really important for all those reasons and more.
Couple of things on that, Dan. One, it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which in The old world has meant it is the stand on the chair and scream and throw a bunch of false statistics around until people get tired enough to give you a month, which has been happening in feminist culture for years now. If you want to learn about the unaddressed, the real people out in the wilderness when it comes to domestic violence, come to avoiceformen.com and start reading the story that is being told there every day for the entire 31 days of October. One man a day, Dr. Tara Palmatier, has gathered and edited and gotten these stories together directly male victims of domestic and other forms of abuse, and who end up getting abused from the system when they go to look for help, or when the ex will slap them, throw something, knock them on the head, and then call the cops and say he went after me, so I had to hit him, and he ends up in jail. You want to see nightmares of violence? They're in those stories, and they're running every day on our front page now for the entire 31 days of October. I also want to go for a minute over what Dan was saying about Sage Gerard and why we want to support him so much. I mean, I don't know if people get sometimes exactly what Sage is going through. I know that it's hard for me to get it sometimes. But here he is, this young man, early 20s. Think about that, early 20s. He's a year away from graduating college. And what does he do? He starts the most unpopular thing that you can possibly contemplate doing. He would have probably had better luck starting a neo-Nazi group. Of course, Sage is not that way at all. So he's concerned about gender equity and about fair treatment of human beings. He considers himself a human rights activist that specializes in the areas that affect men and boys. And he goes up into a school where the predominantly feminist ideology there, we've got professors all over the place really giving him a hard time, other students really giving him a hard time. He's having to deal with their legal department because people are making all kinds of complaints that he's a threat to them. He's coming up on the 24th, I believe it is, with a debate with some other student, and the guy, there's an article about it on the website, and the guy is telling him that not to get any ideas about harming women that come to the debate, and painting him as a threat, when all he's doing is what? He's speaking truth to power. He's telling the truth, and he's catching it down there, and that's why I'm going there to speak. That's why I want to get Dan there with me. We've got other people from AVFM coming. I believe that Hannah Wallen is coming. Suzanne McCarley is coming. There will be other people there from our group at that university for what is absolutely a historic event, because this is going to be a no pulse, nothing left to the imagination, full frontal men's activism, red pill stuff, spoken out at a university in the United States. And there's a bunch of people there that don't want it to happen. But I hope that people will donate to KSU Men. You don't even have to donate directly to us for that. You can donate directly to Sage at KSU Men. There's a banner at the top of the AVFM homepage to go do it. This is like really happening now. It's time for us to start pulling it together even more than we already have. Like we've been talking about here, we've come a long way in just these few years. But we've got a long, long way to go. We're still got a young man down there in Georgia that's stranded out by himself in a very hostile environment where people are literally trying to frame him and character assassinate simply because he wants to have a men's group that deals with men's issues for no other reason. Because Sage Gerard has not done anything wrong. He doesn't. He may not be a perfect human being, but he's not violent, he's not evil, he's not nasty, he's not mean-spirited. He's a very gentle, nice guy that happens to care about people whose problems are being ignored, and they're after him down there. I'm telling you, they are really after him, and we got to go down there and support this guy. If you can make it November 1st, Kennesaw State University, you don't have to pay. You know what? The men's community raised the money to pay for that conference in advance. They helped Sage out. Everybody stepped up to help Sage out, to pay for that thing, 13 grand that he had to raise just to do an afternoon in that place, and he got the money raised. And now we're going to have Karen Strawn, Gore Writes What, is going to be there. Janice Fiamingo is going to be there. Jonathan Taylor from A Voice for Male Students. I'm going to be there speaking. There's going to be other MRAs. Like, hope make it there. If you're in that area, come to the damn thing. November 1st. It's on a Saturday. You got a weekend free. Come there and attend. Or go visit KSU Men and help them out too. But what's next on your plan? I've gone on enough about KSU Men, but I just sometimes don't think even among us that Sage gets enough recognition for what he's doing, because it's very brave what that guy's doing.
He's an intelligent, independent thinking young man who does an amazing job. And with a touch of humor. His latest article I really loved. I thought it was hilarious how he picked apart the little feminist insignia there. And that kind of also, had a hand in my tattoo as well. Duckman was recently in Dundas, and we did a little impromptu video, and we'd stopped in at Tim Hortons for a coffee, and I think it was Tim Hortons, I guess, and the server had a feminist tattoo, and so. My thinking along fundraising was like, geez, why don't we have an equal tattoo? They want to have their feminist tattoos. That's fine. I'm a non-feminist. Here's my tattoo. And, okay, I can dig that. And so that was kind of born as well. What's on my plans? Well, October 9th, there's an event for a cafe in Toronto there. I believe the speaker's first name is Eleanor. I'd have to double check on that.
Do you know where that's going to be, Dan?
Pardon?
Do you know where that's going to be? Or I guess I can get it from the cafe website.
Yeah, it's at the University of Toronto. I'm almost positive. But it is October 9th. So obviously I'll be going down there for that. I've got... for those in the Hamilton area, I can tell you that there is a motions, how to complete motions seminar. It'll be October 24th of this month, and that is down at the Family Courthouse. It's free of charge, and it's how to properly fill out a change of motions or motion for change. That's the form. Sorry, and it's a free legal clinic. So it's legal advice. I can't stress enough how important it is for anyone, any guy who's going through family courts or false domestic violence or, something along them lines. Learn the law. Learn it yourself. Don't trust the lawyers. They're in it for the money. For the most part. There are good ones out there, but for the most part, they're in it for the money. The more carnage, the more money. I'll point back to David Maltby. He handles out Brantford there. I have witnessed and documents, showing that he, has acted dishonestly in one matter, and he's already been reprimanded by the LSUC, Law Society of Canada. But not only he does family law, but he also does real estate law. So he starts he creates the carnage, and then he comes in and plucks the bones from the carnage. Puts the divorce through, and then sells the house. Probably picks up, buying two houses or something. So that's absolute insanity. I think there should be a law against that. If you're in family law, you can't practice real estate law.
So he's actually buying the properties of the cases that
he's buying. He's in real estate law. So a divorce happens. The family properties sometimes get sold. So hey, I do real estate law too. So I'll handle the sale. So he gets another another cut off of that for doing the real estate papers sort of gig. If you do family law,
fucking shit.
Oh yeah, he's a sick little slimy bastard. I got no problems, no qualms saying about it. And any, if he wants to slap me with a libel lawsuit, he can go right the fuck ahead. I've got the fucking papers. I got the documents. I got copies of them up the fucking yin yang. I dare you, you little fucking squirrely little piece of shit. Sorry about that, but yeah, that's these lawyers, these corrupt little fucks. You got to speak to them and speak the truth about them and to the powers that be and expose them for their shit. Now, unfortunately, it can't speak. We don't get heard enough. That's it. Like this shit is just swept under the rug because it's not in the best interest of the courts to have corruption and shit exposed.
Agreed with that.
So yeah, what else am I going to do? Yeah, obviously try and make the KSM conference. I want to try and bring Karen out for February. I want to bring Judgy Bitch down around here. That'd be nice to see that happen in the middle of November. There's lots of things that can be done. What else? How about activism? Get creative with it, guys. What have I done in the past? Every winter I shovel off a small rink. Sometimes small. Oh, small depends on your perspective and who's pushing the shovel. But anyways, I usually shovel off a small rink for the kids to use. It's healthy for kids to get out and play, and it's natural ice pond for them to get out there. Last year, actually, one of the fathers came up to me and said, "You were shoveling off the rink there, blah, blah, blah," and he complimented me. I said, "Yeah, man, I do it." And he says, "Right on." Again, he complimented me and says, "It's about fucking time." I believe he's gone through one divorce already. So I do that. I get creative. I've used chalk in the past. Street chalk. If the kids can sit there and put their tic-tac-toe on there, why the hell can't I put, voiceformen.com or, human rights include men, whatever. My standing rule reinforces what you have unfortunately had to post in a recent bulletin, is that no private property. And also, you got to be respectful of historic property too, or public property. But my standing rule is, if it's public property and it's got public money, it's up for my posters. I don't give a good goddamn. I don't give a fiddler's flag fuck. It doesn't matter because they are failing men systemically right through the system. In Canada and obviously America too, because I read the articles about voice for men from down in the States there. Europe, first world nations, it's systemic failures, bang 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 bang, of not only men but their children too. The children's right to both parents, so it's systemic failures right there. And in third world nations, underdeveloped nations, feminism is getting their hooks in there. And they're promoting again, same myopic view that they've always promoted. What about the women? Well, no. What about all the humans and all the human rights there? You fuckers. Like really, Emma Watson. He for she. How about he and she for we? All of us. Like enough's enough. So yeah. What else? Target your topics. I'm going to call this target your topics. If I'm speaking to high school kids or university grade kids, I'll toss out rapid and latex, or she's going to get your paychecks, because that's it's a lot of the rutting season for that age group, and I gotta say I'm not too impressed by feminism's promoting sluttiness down to that age group either. They are young, impressionable kids. That's not to say I want to restrict, them being teenagers, but I think encouraging them to walk down the street, the sidewalk in bra and panties is just a little bit fucking much. Thank you very much, there, feminist Beyonce. Oh, and by the way, let's not forget your fucking ignoring the domestic violence your sister did against your husband. But let's get back on topic. So yeah. So yeah, for that age group, I will say wrap it in latex, or she's going to get your paychecks. And I'll also talk about legal parental surrender, because these are hot button topics for them. They're getting to that age or preparing for that age, where they're going to go out in the world and make choices on whether or not to be a parent. And I point out the fact that how men really have no choice. Pay up or go to jail, or that's whatever. No choice. It's and I explain my personal view is that 3 months. If a woman gets 3 months to abort the child, then the man should have 3 months as well. To do his legal parental surrender.
Well, Dan, that would actually imply that men should have some reproductive freedom. You're not certainly. I mean, it's one thing for you to run around making chalk statements like human rights includes men, but you're actually even implying that men should have reproductive rights and some control over their future?
Absolutely, 50% of their DNA.
You're a horrible misogynist.
And most likely 50% of the action. Well, I would hopefully that 50% of the action in the mattress marimba that caused that conception. So yeah, it's sex is a two-person act unless you choose not. But yeah. So yeah. So for that age group, I do. For that age group, the two hot button topics are divorce and group. So for those people, I talk about divorce and circumcision. Guys get screwed over in the courts. I always tell them, you know what?
Dan, I think your camera froze up on us. Testing, testing. Sorry, folks. Dannyboy's camera has frozen up. I guess I'll run my mouth till he comes back on the scene. One of the things when he was talking about the young girls and their sexuality these days, and don't get me wrong, I'm not Victorian-minded in the least. Matter of fact, quite the opposite. But I saw a meme the other day that reminded me of what Danny was talking about. And what it showed was on the left side there was an animated character from a video game that was a girl in a very scantily clad. And underneath it said objectified. And then there was right next to it a real girl, equally scantily clad, and had slut written across here just below her tits, and it said empowered. And this is the kind of message that we're getting used to from feminists, this absolute sheer insanity. I don't care how women dress. I don't have any investment in it. They're right. They can dress however they want. They should be able to dress however they want. People should keep their hands off of them. It's not an excuse to do anything. I get all that shit. I always have. So has 99% of every other man that I've ever known in my life. But on the other hand, if you think that you walk around mostly naked with slut written across your body, that I have to respect you, fuck you. I do not have to respect you. I don't have to respect anything about that. I don't think that's showing a lot of self-respect. And if I want to respect a woman who treats herself with respect more than that, imagine that, then that's going to be my choice. I see we've lost Danny. I think probably he had a bad connection. At any rate, I'm glad everybody got to see the tattoo. Danny's one heck of a guy. Again, he's somebody that really gets out there and he deals with the worst that happens to men on the streets by working with the homeless. He does it in the middle of the winters in Canada, which you couldn't get me to take out the trash in Canada. I live in Texas. I wouldn't do that stuff. And he gets out there in the cold and in all sorts of inclement weather, and he works with the homeless. He makes it to all our events, and he's not a rich guy. He finds a way. He does stuff. always doing stuff to help, always doing stuff that's selfless without sacrificing his self-respect and without yielding to gynocentrism or to the chauvinism of modern feminism. With that, I'm going to thank everybody for showing up. Thank you again, everybody who contributed to helping us get up to the $10,000 mark. I'd like to ask you again, if you got it, if you could please see your way to going to the front page of A Voice for Men and finding the donation button. We've got an awful lot of work to do before this is over. We will see you next week with Monday's edition of Intelligence Report with Dr. Tara Palmatier and Dean Esme and myself. And until then, everybody take care of themselves. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.